Your 7 days are up. You can't understand almost anything she's saying, but you know one thing. You're dying. She's saying something about science. She's saying something about memories. You wish you could understand what she's telling you. You wish you knew how to say something back. You recognize the words she uses to tell you good night. This is the end of the tiny indie game 7 Days to End With You. Or rather, it's the end of the first time you play 7 Days to End With You. The premise of the game is that you wake up sick in pain in a small cabin with her. You have no memories, including any memory of whatever language she's speaking. She's clearly distressed at that fact. She asks you some questions, but you have no way of knowing what your approving or unapproving gestures mean or are even responding to. You hope they're okay. After you take a look around, look at the newspapers, the pictures, the broken mirror, the game introduces its main mechanic to you. She draws a diagram telling you that if you have a question about something, touch it and she will tell you what it is. So, for the rest of the game, she follows you around, and this is how you learn. There are only 5 rooms in the game. Your bedroom, the living room, the garden, the science room, and the hall that connects them. Hey, Editor Harp here, I said science room, and I think I forgot the word for laboratory, but I am going to say science room for the remainder of the video. Okay, bye. It's incredibly easy to move between them quickly. She'll follow you wherever you go, and you can write any little notes you have in this journal. I didn't really end up using the journal, but I wrote a little note down early on. This game's difficulty curve is, in my eyes, really beautiful. When I realized that she'll tell me anything I click on, I thought that it would be too easy. I would just click on everything and write down what she told me, and then I would understand everything. But maybe in a misguided effort to help, she often gives you too much information. When you click on this row of books, you expect her to say books, but she says 3 whole words, which makes your job a bit harder. Are these 3 words for books? If there's only 1 word for book, which one is it? What's the grammatical structure here? The game lets you briefly flash back to any time you've previously heard a word. So if this is the only word in common when you ask about these different books, it must be the word for book. This is the main way you'll deduce words, asking her about a ton of things, then checking to see if you can piece anything together. Still, even with your dozen or so words at this point, you are still completely and utterly lost. She talks to you, and you realize, oh my god, she hasn't said a single thing about plants or books or colors. Those are the only words you know, and now you're exactly where you started. You don't even know how to tell her you want to go to bed. At the end of the 3rd day, she gets serious for a second. It's clear that she wants to tell you something. She shows you this diagram. Oh. You were in love. And you've forgotten it all. It puts everything into perspective. Why she's so insistent on teaching you, why she's caring for you. All of this is because you're still somebody she loves. It also teaches you important words. Love, forget, memory, but most importantly, you see that these are your names. This quickly leads to another realization. You need to name these characters. You could just say her, but for me, that got grammatically strange and confusing when she spoke. So I named her Rena, and my character Megan, for no reason in particular other than the fact that I like those names. But for the first time in the game, you understand what she's trying to get across when she speaks. Rena, Megan, memories. Rena, Megan, us? Love, and a word you don't know yet. After she tells you that you forgot all about your love, she asks you a question, and you're not sure if you respond correctly. As the days go on and you piece more words together, you feel worse. Whatever your condition is, it's worsening. It's clear that you're not going to understand her before you die. So, in a desperate attempt to push through, you check everything in the house, trying to piece these things together. This newspaper has my name on it. Is that me? Why am I in the news? What does this other word mean? Why is Rena... There's a knock on the door. She rushes you to a room and tells you something. You can overhear a conversation. The visitor says your name. She says your name too. She starts yelling and there's a thud. You can choose to stay hidden or to run out to help her. If you run out, she stops talking and the visitors leave. She starts crying. You could maybe understand why with a few more words. She still stays with you for the rest of the day. She still tells you goodnight. At this point, I feel that it's necessary to talk about the game's language itself. In order to allow the player to deduce the meanings of words, they need to see the same words multiple times. So in order to do this, the developers made the decision to have this language be incredibly simplistic. There is no past or future tense, no possessives, relatively few verbs, almost everything is nouns or adjectives. There's some adverbs and conjunctions thrown in there too. They had to do that in order for the game to work, but the simplicity made for so many incredibly satisfying and sometimes really touching breakthroughs. There's an extra step, you see. First, you have to understand what the words mean, then you need to understand what she's trying to say using those words. Since you're the one who's created the associations and iterated on the meanings of all of these words, it all feels intimate. Megan okay? She asks on the last day. Of course, you tell her as best you can that you're dying. Language understand, she says, followed by a word she says whenever she's happy. She's happy that you finally said a correct word. Understand to death, Megan. She starts crying, saying words that we don't know yet. She says our name, she says something about science, and then something about memories. You wish you could understand what she's telling you. You wish you knew how to say something back. That's it. That's the end. Honestly, I don't think I've really spoiled the game that much at all until this point, but if you care and are still watching, I'm going to spoil the rest of it now. When the game opens it again, you're greeted with the same scene of her talking to you, but this time, you understand things. The game keeps all your translations between your playthroughs. So maybe this is kind of like a time loop. The day doesn't play out any differently, but we understand Rena a lot better. She's asking if your head is alright, telling you you'll stay there. Everything at the beginning we can almost understand now. We might not understand every single word, but with a lot of phrases we can infer the general meaning of what she wants to tell us. Understand not, she's telling you she knows you can't understand her. The first choice at the beginning, the one you blindly guessed at, is asking if you want her to explain yourself again. Of course, they're still missing words, but you can move past the state of confusion that you were trapped in and try and understand exactly what is happening, why we're here, what Rena's doing, and what she's trying to tell us. There's a couple big pieces here. The first is your picture in the news. You recognize your name on the paper, and Rena confirms it's a picture of you. The mirror is broken, but you look roughly similar to the woman in the picture, so that checks out. The news, though. Are you someone important? The next piece is the entire science room. Most of this room is difficult to decipher in your first playthrough. There are notes pinned to the walls with writings you can't really decipher. You can make out science and several, but you can't really glean anything meaningful from it. Whatever experiments she's doing, they're woefully opaque to us. At some point, though, you might snoop in this drawer. There's a tarot card with the Grim Reaper on it. You've seen this word before, you've seen it a lot. You fill in the word. Death. Later, you read the note again. Directions, death. What is she working on? Why doesn't she want you to go outside? Why were you on the newspaper? Why did those people ask about you? Oh. You're the experiment, aren't you? She's trying to save you. There's 3 newspaper pieces. The first has a picture of a mysterious person on a bench, the second a picture of you, and the third is news on war. Did the war hurt you? Maybe an injury caused the memory loss. You have to find out. Learning from here, thankfully, goes quickly. There's a snowball effect for piecing things together. When you start to understand a decent chunk of the words, context clues become much more significant. Really quickly, you understand enough that even though you might not know every single word, there's enough to make out what she means. She tells you about your memories again, and while you originally understood that she was telling you she loved you and you forgot, you couldn't understand the question she asked you afterwards. This time, you can see that the question is literally just asking if you understand her. If you tell her you do understand, she briefly celebrates before lamenting the fact that you still don't have your memories, and then tells you she'll try again. The word again is kind of confusing until she continues, but you realize she's saying that she will love you again, even without memories. Still, your condition is worsening, and on the 5th day, the stranger knocks on your door again. Now you can see that she's telling you not to meet them. She tells you to stay. The stranger is looking for you. She tells them that you died in the war, but they insist you didn't. And furthermore, they insist on searching the house. The thud from before happens again, which you have to assume is her trying to keep them out. This time, you trust her. You stay. You don't want to make her cry again. Eventually, you make your way out of the room, and she seems surprised to see you. You ask the word, person? I'm going to show her actual response with my translations on the screen, but I'm going to verbalize my best understanding of what she means. You understood us talking. All right, I'll tell you. You started a war. You won the war. But still, you were lost. So, she uses a word you've never seen before. In the moment, I translated it to save. I want to save you. My experiments are all to save you. If you stay, I can save you. Still, you forgot about us being together. She trails off. Did you die in the war? She's not just trying to save you, is she? You died. She's trying to bring you back to life. That's why there's a fixation on death. That's why these notes talk about death. That's what... Wait. Did these boxes change? There's one more box than there was last time. This isn't a time loop, is it? You actually died. She brought you back again for the 13th time, it seems like. You check the journal in your room. Your notes from last time are still there. There's not enough time left. On the 6th day, you feel awful. You try to find a way to help her experiments, but there's nothing. On the last day, you die again. This time, you can understand her. I know you're dying, but I'm sad again. I want to meet you again. I want you back to normal. So, I won't forget you. I'll do science, even if it's not perfect. You forgot language, but still, I want to be with you. I want it so much. I follow the directions, but it never works right. I'm so sad. I'll see you again. I'll do all the science I can. So, get some rest, Megan. I'm not going to lie. The first time I reached the end after learning most words, I teared up. There's something about seeing her crying while saying the words that she painstakingly taught you that struck a chord in me. Almost every sentence took me just an extra second or two to understand, and the uncertainty made me want to ask, is this what you mean? Of course, there's no way to ask her or check or be entirely certain. I'm still not sure that those translations were what she actually meant to say. But they're what I heard, and they made me want to go back to see if I could do anything. When you load back in, you realize that there's not much else to do. You've already cooked, gardened, and touched everything in the entire house, so all that's left to do is decipher the science room and... Oh, what's this? You can only see it if you move the screen over. Rena tells you not to touch it. Alright, but you come back later while she's reading in the living room. It's a combination lock with glyphs on it. Below it says, person, death, love. There's 5 letters. How did you spell your name again? You enter your name and hit the button. The door slides open and it reeks of blood. What is she doing? You don't know what you were expecting, but it wasn't this. You run out and try to close the door, but you don't know how to close it. You weren't supposed to see this, and she's going to find out that you saw. What is she going to do to you? Eventually, the panic subsides, and you find her, and you really don't have a choice but to show her. She isn't mad. She's surprised that you opened it, sure, but she follows you down. Then, like before, she tells you the words for the things that are down there. Tool, death, person. Clothes, person. You learn some new words here. Shackle and blood. The instructions, the notes, they're telling her what she needs. She's killing people for you. That's why the mirror is broken. She's making you from other people and doesn't want you to see. She keeps murdering people to bring you back. You feel sick again. She tries to act like everything's normal. She gives you the same talk about love. You look for her missing cup again, but it all feels different. What was initially read as bittersweet tragic affection now reads as obsession, as a person wholly consumed by their grief and pushed to kill for you. The visitor comes again. You stay inside. You hear the thud. You have the same conversation with her. But there's a nagging thought at the back of your head. There's a body in the room. She killed them. When you die, she'll probably use their body to bring you back. There's a feeling of guilt. She's doing this all for you. She's killed, more than likely, well over a dozen people because she can't let you go. So, this time you try to get her to stop. As you're dying, she says something different. I've done this all. Do you understand? What do you think? There are only 5 words that this game confirms for you, ever. And one of them has never been used up until this point. It means sin. The game doesn't really carry a huge amount of religious themes or any indication that these characters are devout to any theistic practice, so you can interpret this either as actual religious dogma or the best translation for a grave act of immorality. You tell her she has done awful things, and she agrees. I have sinned. What do you want? There are 2 options here. If you accept what she's done, it never ends. She resurrects you hundreds and hundreds of times over, and you can't tell her to stop. She doesn't want to be alone. So, you put an end to things. Your hands wrap around her neck as she begins crying. I keep sinning, so you're willing to sin to stop me. A lot of the time, I think I want to die. Her hands cover yours. You want me to die because you care. That's good. That's good. Together we can rest. If this is the end, do you want to say something? You're dying too. What do you want as you die? Rena. She says a word you've never seen before. And then, my name is Rena, just like the first day of your first meeting. I want to tell you so much, all the time. I love you. And then it's over. Really over. While it is tragic, obviously, I find the end really beautiful. I wanted to find some way to tell her to move on, that the grief she's carrying hurts us both, as well as the countless people she kills. There's no way to do this, of course. If you choose to accept her actions, you can play the game as many times as you want. Nothing changes. She never gets happier, you never stop hurting or dying. It never ends unless you end it. If you do end it, a short scene plays after she tells you she loves you for the last time, and the screen fades to black. I'm honestly not entirely sure what to make of it. It's a hand writing about alchemy in a notebook in English. A note is slipped onto the screen asking, Rena? Something I've seen online about this is that maybe our character spoke English instead of Rena's language, and that this is a flashback to when they first met. But that doesn't really make sense to me. No, I think that this is the two finding each other in another life. That whoever Rena is in her next life is learning about historical attempts at alchemy, that she was drawn towards this magical science due to tiny lingering memories from this past life, and we found her, whoever we are now. Although a bit fantastical, this is far more meaningful to me. Rena tried so hard to teach us how to speak. She cried because we didn't remember her. She killed just so we could have another chance at knowing her. And even though it never worked, even though those two could never have their happy ending, they get a chance to start over. And after all of Rena's effort, the only thing important enough to carry into the next life is her name. That's the story I read, at least. If you played this game, you probably had an incredibly different experience from me. In fact, I think this game would be pretty difficult to play like anybody else, and that's kind of because the game is a little obtuse. The UI is a little inconvenient. It's sometimes a little hard to tell what you can and can't click on. And if you didn't spot that tiny little combination lock, you just missed out on the most important parts of the plot. In fact, sometimes the process of figuring out words is so inconvenient that I have written, recorded, and edited an entire video about it, and I still don't have every single word logged. But still, I think this game's really cool, and I think there's something admirable about how much it challenges its player. I've played a few other games with similar concepts. One of them is Chance of Sonar, a puzzle game that takes a more widespread societal approach to language. The other one is a narrative puzzle that I can almost guarantee you have never heard of. It is called Kevin, 1997 to 2077. I talk about both of these games extensively in a new video I have out on my Patreon right now. My Patreon's only $3 a month, and for that price, you get a bunch of extra videos. I try to release companion videos with all of my videos. Last time, it was about one of the game's sequels, and a different one about everything I had to cut. This time, it is about these two games that I kind of wanted to talk about, but couldn't. Thank you so much for even considering supporting me, and thanks for watching this video in the first place. Alright. Bye-bye.